This is an excerpt from the 4-hour-long critique I made of MK11 back in 2021. This is where I explain why Kronika is a terrible villain with a terrible plan. The full critique will be linked at the end. Everyone but Raiden becomes frozen in time, although the trees don't, as Kronika emerges to taunt Raiden. She flat out admits that his and Liu Kang's combined power is a threat to her, even though it's never actually explained why them specifically and how, other than them just being really good fighters, even though Raiden just said that Liu Kang died by his hand every time. She claims this conversation has happened beyond count in past timelines. Alright, it's finally time to talk about this fucking awful villain and plan we've been presented with. The game really wants you to think Kronika is some brilliant mastermind, but she really isn't. Her manipulation of her followers is all very basic and only works because every single one of them is an idiot who takes her at her word. She doesn't use her time powers to grant them boons as a taste of what she's offering, like producing warriors from the clans Frost and Noob want that existed in dead timelines, restoring revenants to human, restoring Edenia, or showing visions of previous timelines where they had what they wanted as proof that she can give it to them again. Her motivation is to achieve balance between good and evil, hence why she was so upset by what Raiden did to Shinnok, but if that's the reason she's upset, why did they bother making her Shinnok's mother if that plot point amounts to absolutely nothing? She didn't get mad because Raiden harmed her son, unless we acknowledge Garrus claiming otherwise, which I will because it's inconsistent writing due to Garrus' words not being called out as wrong. No, it's supposed to be because of what Shinnok represents in this Kingdom Hearts bullshit. But if balance was her main thing, how has Raiden unbalanced the scale so much? Yes, Dominic apparently confirmed that Kronika straight up cannot restore Shinnok as that's beyond her power, begging the question of how her new era is supposed to work then, but surely, if she can manipulate events as she claims, she could just guide events to restore the Revenants or make Dark Raiden take Shinnok's place in her grand design. And if Shinnok's presence was so important, why did she not simply interfere before Raiden could decapitate him? We learn later in Aftermath that her power can affect Raiden despite what the base story would have you believe. All she has to do is freeze Raiden and kill him before he can decapitate Shinnok. Or better yet, if Kronika's plan here is to erase Raiden in the next go-around, i.e. that is within her capability, why the fuck did she not just get rid of him in a previous reset? He's not in her crosshairs solely because of what he's done in this timeline. She's always pitting him and Liu Kang against each other because they're a huge threat, but she's never once thought that she could just exclude them from the next go-around. If she erased one of them forever, she'd be unbeatable by the story's logic. But no, that would be the smart thing to do. Much better to taunt them and tell them how to beat her. She's a fucking idiot who makes no attempt to kill one of the two people who can stop her, while one is frozen and the other is isolated because all of his allies are frozen. She doesn't try to kill any of them, she just abducts Liu Kang for another plot that makes no fucking sense. And why not open a portal right here and now and let her forces come in and kill them all? Kronika is the kind of villain who is written to be so unbelievably powerful that the heroes only have any shot of beating her because she makes very obvious mistakes, but the game doesn't present her as if her overconfidence is her weakness, or that she's a fucking idiot. At most, she's sometimes referred to as being mad, which is a really pathetic explanation for a villain's blatant stupidity. The fact that she can only be defeated by Raiden and Liu Kang uniting is not only some more chosen one bullshit, but it blows a massive hole in her plan. If only they can stop her, why does she bring past versions to the present? As things stood, Dark Raiden and Revenant Liu Kang were already enemies willing to kill each other. If she'd just let them be, one would have died and denied the other the ally he'd need to stop her. But instead, she erased the corrupted Raiden and brought forward heroic versions of both who are still allies and are in opposition to her actions. The merger opens another gaping hole in the plan, as that's what alerted everyone to there being something afoot. She tells Khan that she needs an army to defend the Hourglass, but the act of bringing Khan and his army to the present is what causes there to be anyone to threaten the Hourglass in the fucking first place. If she'd just sent Garrus to get the Jinsei water, he could have retrieved the crown before anyone even noticed the water was taken and rewound time with zero interference. The only reason her plan has any chance of failing is because she's the stupidest fucking arsehole in the entire MK universe, and no amount of arrogance or insanity can excuse the fact that the villain directly causes her own downfall by making a big spectacle of her plan for no reason at all. This writing is genuinely on the same level as General Katana provoking Connor McCloud into stopping him in Highlander fucking 2. Yes, this game's story is on par with one of the most infamously bad sequels of all time, and you can't deny that. And Raiden's earlier speculation as to why he is affected differently from everyone else raises even more questions now. When a character speculates on a subject they don't have an answer to, if no alternative explanation is offered, this is the writers telling you how it is. If the gods exist outside of the normal flow of time, then how have Kronika's repeated resets of the timeline gone unnoticed up to now? Why aren't they aware when the timeline is reset and try to get to the bottom of it? And were they wiped by the merger while Cetrion was shielded from it, or did Cetrion just kill them all despite Elder Gods being unkillable as of MKX, with MK11 backing that up with Shinnok's severed head as living proof? This twist that Kronika has reset the timeline countless times is clearly supposed to make her the biggest threat in the entire history of MK, but not only does it make absolutely no sense if you put even a modicum of thought into it, i.e. more than the fucking writers ever did, but the fact that she has to keep resetting to try and get her way paints her as a child throwing a crisis event level tantrum and sabotaging her own success every step of the way because she's a fucking idiot who acts without thinking.
I literally just shit myself.
And you know this isn't how she's intended to come across, because none of the characters acknowledge how dumb she is. They act like she's this genius mastermind, but the writers have somehow created a character who is so unfathomably cretinous that she cannot be taken seriously for even a second. God, Jennifer Hale deserved a better role. They should have swapped her and Ronda Rousey around. At least then Kronika would have a performance befitting this broken fucking character that Cianciolo claimed is above the one being. At least Sean had his head on straight with that one. And as for the fan theory I've alluded to before now, some fans believe that this revelation serves to justify any and all continuity issues in the series and possibly make every ending canonical in one timeline or another. And it could be intended to do that, except that time has explicitly not been reset since prior to MK9. Raiden references the visions from MK9, even though he wouldn't have been having them if Kronika had reset the timeline since. Kronika said Raiden had once again upset the balance by decapitating Shinnok, and the only other way he's done this is by sending the visions back. Sure, maybe Kronika means something he did in a prior timeline, but no such idea is elaborated on, so we'll have to assume she's talking about something we've actually seen, and the only thing that could possibly qualify is the visions. Unless this ties into her saying that she and Raiden have had this exact conversation countless times, suggesting that she keeps taking action after Raiden decapitates Shinnok, or does something else to disrupt the balance, and Kronika just keeps letting him and then getting mad about it. You know, when you give the character the benefit of the doubt, she just comes off as even more of an incompetent twat. So this revelation, contrary to popular belief, does not actually excuse any continuity issues between MK9, X and 11. It does excuse contradictions with older titles, as it's possible time was completely reset between the Midway timeline and MK9's intro, creating a similar sequence of events in the broad strokes but different in the small details like who goes where and what the character motivations are. But anything changed during the Netherrealm trilogy is not covered by this and is simply a continuity issue. Rewritten backstories, inconsistent designs, characters being where they shouldn't. It's all still an issue even with this awful reveal. Now that we've got that out of the way and have calmed down, let's get back to the story.
You cannot win. You are welcome to try, of course.
Kill yourself.
Here's the full video. Whether you watch that or not, thank you for watching this much.